On page 1 in the guided practice, the only instructions are to simplify. So we have to know, based on what the question looks like, when to do what. Normally, what I start with is identifying the operation. What is our big operation that we have going on here? Multiplication. Is this foiling or superfoiling?
Nope, not what you said.
It's not foiling or distributing at all. But why? Because there's no adding or subtracting here. All of these terms are joined by multiplication. So I don't have to pass out anything to anybody. We can just kind of multiply our like terms together. So 4 times -5 is -20. X squared times x to the first is x cubed. Now, what about these negatives, these bad attitudes? Should we resolve them right away? Since it's not division, we'll go ahead and just work with them. So that acronym that's going to help us is MADSPAM. M to the A, D to the S, P to the M. MADSPAM. So to figure out what to do with the y's, I am multiplying them. That's my base operation. So what should I do with the exponents? Add them. So 5 and -3 is y squared. Then with my z's, I've got z to the -4 times z to the -1. I'm going to add -4 and -1 together, which gives me -5. What is the last thing that I need to do? We've got a bad attitude. We don't want to leave that with our final answer, so we're going to take that z -5 and send it to the downstairs. Am I going to send the -20 downstairs?
No.
Why? It's just a negative number. It's not a negative exponent. So it's only the negative exponents that change the fraction location. So -20 x cubed y squared all over. Now my good attitude z5. I'm going to turn you loose on number 2. What is our main operation going on here? It's not superfoiling, we're not adding, we're not subtracting. We're just using our power rules. What part of MADSPAM are we using? The P part. We are powering up by 3. So we are going to multiply, that's what the M stands for, all of these exponents by 3. And I'm going to work with the negative. How many exponents do I have in that parenthesis? 3. The B has 1, the A has 1, and that sneaky coefficient of 2 has a power of 1 as well. Now be careful, because when I distribute that 3 to that -2's power of 1, it's -2 to the 3rd, A to the -9th, and B to the 6th. What's -2 times -2 times -2? I thought that was someone's stomach growling. It's -8. And then we've got that A with the bad attitude. Where are we going to send it? Downstairs. Go downstairs and lose the attitude. So we're going to have -8, B6 on the top, and then A to the +9th on the bottom. Beautiful. Preguntas? Questions? Concerns? Do you guys think you can do number 3, or do you want to do it together?
We got it. We can do it alone.
30 seconds to try it on your own.
Oh, shoot. Okay. 30 seconds is over. You can show us how to do it. Yeah.
Give me un minuto. I gotta print something.
There's the power up thing on the bottom. And there's the thingy on the top. Yeah. It's kind of stinky.
All right, folks, so, yeah, this is a pretty gross one, isn't it? I would start with the multiplying on the top first. Why? Well, because of PEMDAS. PEMDAS says we should start with the top of the fraction or multiplying first. So I've got 3 times 5, which is 15. Then I've got x to the negative 2 times x. Oh, it is?
No, wait.
It looks kind of like fluffier rain. Snap. Well, it was supposed to snow yesterday morning, and then it did nothing, so. Should I put on a Christmas record?
I think you should.
Put on the Snoopy one.
I think you should put it on when we go to
We will. All right, folks, so we've got x to the negative 2 and x to the first. So x to the negative 1, we're multiplying, so we add, and then y to the third, y to the negative 8, y to the negative 5th. So all multiplying on the top, so all adding of the exponents. Now on the bottom, what's our base operation? What are we doing to x to the negative 3?
You're timesing the extra positive.
Powering up, so you are multiplying. So we get x to the negative 12th. So we simplified the top, we simplified the bottom. It looks really gross. So because we have negatives and division, I would resolve all these negatives first. Up here, we just worked with the negatives because it was all multiplying and handled them at the end. Here, I would not try to subtract your exponents until you have resolved these negatives. So this one's going to go downstairs. So is this one. And that one's going to go upstairs. So they changed location in the fraction to lose the attitude. So 15, who's on top? X to the 12th, that one from the bottom. And then on the bottom, we now have x to the first, or just x, and then y to the 5th. Are we done?
Yes.
We're close, but there's one other thing that we can do. Wonderful. So since I have x on the top and x on the bottom, we can actually take an x out of both of those, and that will leave me with x to the 11th. So, woo! 15, x to the 11th, over y to the 5th. All right, folks. 1 minute to try number 4 on your own. Hey, when it rains or snows, why should you not have your cruise control on?
Because, I don't know.
Yes.
Your car's
It's a good boost because it could be a boost control if your vehicle very easy if you're just not doing on the cruise.
So hydroplaning is much easier if you, did you say hydroplane?
I said you could hydroplane.
Yes,
If you're going
hydroplaning.
the same speed, you're just gonna.
So yeah, then you start like fishtailing more easily. So I normally tell students that before the first rain, but sort of missed it there. So hopefully none of you guys got into accidents. But also be very careful. How many of you take university going home? So you know that bottom of that hill, that is the #1 place where I see accidents after the first snow. Because when you are trying to stop on that hill, you will, if it's slick, you will slide through the light. But also, if you're stopped at the bottom of the hill, it takes a lot of power to get going back up again. So sometimes I like to avoid that intersection completely. Also, if someone is tailing you, let them. Don't go any faster than you are comfortable with. You can tap the brake once, but be careful if it's slick because that could send you fishtailing. So just a little tap on the brake light just to let them know, I'm not going any faster. Move along, go around me.
Slam on your brakes. Make sure that you get some insurance money out of that.
But then you get whiplash and then you're in physical therapy for a while. So
Don't get, no,
yeah, my room used to be up in the upstairs, and I could see that intersection on University. And folks, the accidents are unreal. So first snow, it's not a bad idea just to let the parking lot clear out a little bit as well. But please, please, please drive safely. Same goes in the morning. They've been pretty good about calling the late starts and all that. But if I would much rather have you be late than have you ruin your car. Okay. Hey, how are we doing on this one?
Terrible.
Yeah,
Wait,
So-
I think I'm done with it. I think.
So there's 2 things going on in this problem. One, we are powering up, but we also have division inside the parentheses. Folks, from a PEMDA standpoint, where should we start? Yes.
Why is the 15x on the top?
That name's something
Because the 15 has its own power of 1, so that did not have a bad attitude to go downstairs.
Oh.
Good question.
Wait, so why isn't there x on the bottom? Oh, there was, now it's oh.
Yep, and then we canceled it. Very good.
Wait. If it was x1 on the bottom, how did it go to x11?
Because we had x12 on the top.
So like,
Yeah.
So we just got an x from both of those. X11.
very nice.
Very nice, very nice. So folks, you could start by distributing that 2 to all of those exponents, but I think it's easier from a PEMDAS standpoint to start inside the parentheses. So we've got 2 divided by -1, which is -2. You can leave the negative on the bottom if you want, doesn't really matter. We have x cubed over x squared, which leaves us with x on the top. And y squared over y fifth, we're left with y cubed, where? On the bottom. Now, inside the parenthesis is simplified, so we are ready to handle the powering up aspect, which means multiplying all the exponents by 2. How many exponents do we have?
2, 3.
3. 1, 2, 3 to distribute to, and the one we are distributing counts as 4, so we're going to distribute, but be careful because this -2 is currently in parentheses. So when I square it, I need to make sure I'm squaring the negative with it. Then we have x squared over y to the 6.
How did the 2 become negative?
Because of this negative on the bottom,
Yeah.
I just took 2 divided by -1. You can leave the negative on the bottom. As we said yesterday, it doesn't matter where you float that negative, but that negative is going to end up getting squared and will turn into a positive. So 4x squared over y to the 6. How are we doing on time? We can do a few more. All right, folks, I think you can do number 5 and number 6 on your own. Go for it.
Oh, it's just this blue.
Brew. Toll.
If you didn't have them, what would you use? When are you gonna listen to music with the phone? And $200. I'm gonna get the gray ones. We'll get the black ones. No, just, I'm gonna the black. Which one are we doing?
The next 2. On this one, since it's subtraction, 4. So folks, on 5, these are all joined by multiplication. So we won't have to distribute anything. However, we will, well, I guess we won't have to distribute the items in the parenthesis, but both of these are being powered up by an exponent on the outside, so that is what we will need to do first. So we're powering up. So x to the 16th, y to the 24th, still multiplication. X to the 18th, y to the 12th, c to the 30th. Because we're powering up. So that little 4 and that little 6, those are powering up those 2 parentheses. Now, these are all joined by multiplication. So since we're multiplying the bases, what do we do with the powers? Add them. So x16, x18. Y24, Y12, 6, and then Z30. Yuck. All right, folks, number 6 is that foiling.
No.
What are we gonna do with that minus sign?
Minus the right side.
Minus the right side. Everybody in that parenthesis gets that negative. So negative 4x squared, negative x, positive 3. 6x squared minus 3x plus 2. Combine your like terms. 6x squared and negative 4x squared is 2x squared. Negative 3x and negative x is negative 4x. Positive 2 plus 3 is plus 5. See you after lunch.
Oh.